Welcome to For the Health of It, Because You Can, where host Susan Robinson dives into the 8 categories of wellness with experts from various fields. We offer tips and information to help you thrive in all areas of individual wellness.
So, Jeff, you're just this big energy when you walk in a room, and I love it. And I know you have a good story to tell about what you've been through yourself personally. But I first want to address why is exercise important?
The biggest reason why it's important, especially right now in this time period, our country's the most unhealthiest that it's ever been. And it's like, everyone nowadays is on their phones, on their tablets, on their computers. My generation, even, which wasn't that long ago, we were outside. We were running around, activities, we're in sports. And now kids these days especially, it's just, here's a tablet, here's a phone. And it's just getting progressively worse. So exercise obviously can lead to so many health benefits, from diabetes being all-time high in kids and stuff right now, to health problems, to heart disease, to you name it. And just movement alone combined with nutrition can add so much longevity to your life. But everyone, we live in a convenient society. So when we get off work, we're tired, we go home, we watch TV. So movement is especially more important now, especially in the kids. And as adults, as parents, we have to set the example. So if we're just giving them tablets and phones, then they're going to pass that on, and we're just going to continue to get more unhealthier as the years go on.
Right. And especially as we're aging, because of my age, I'm definitely in the senior adult category now, and we still have quite a few employees that are in that category. And I just know that exercise, when you don't, your health just seems to decline really faster as you're aging. So kind of tell me a little more about how senior adults should actually, those that are aging, how should we be thinking about this? Why should we make this a priority?
So I like to tell people, if you can start at a younger age and then never stop, that's obviously ideal. But as we get up, we grow up, we get real jobs, everything starts to have kids, some of us have kids, all that stuff starts to take a back seat. I give my mom a lot of credit because she's been exercising, and she started off when I was a kid running every morning. And then about 10 years ago, she switched over to swimming. She's 63 and she just swam Alcatraz last year. Yeah, so I kind of had a big example, and she's kind of the example I use because, she does work full time. She works in Des Moines in the health insurance industry. She works 12 hours a day. She gets up at 4:30, swims 2 miles, and then gets off to work. But having that habit is what is so hard to start for people. And then when they get out of it, they're like, well, I don't want to start back over now. But it's like, you can avoid all these medicines and medical visits and doctor's visits if you just make it a habit. Just even walking, or, Oklahoma, we have pretty good weather. So it's like we can pretty much move outside most all year round. But even if you don't, just finding stuff that you like to do as hobbies, whether it's just walking, even in the mall or on a treadmill or something, just moving will get you started. And then as you develop that habit, you'll actually start to feel bad when you miss exercise programs and regimens. So having that regimen is really important, especially as we age and strength train. Our bone density, our muscle mass, everything starts to decrease. So we have to be doing stuff to force that to keep moving, or else we will literally just deteriorate away.
Right. And I've heard even people that have the worst forms of arthritis that are very painful, that you don't feel like moving, but you actually feel better once you do get moving. And so that's why it's just the whole movement. Our bodies are designed to move rather than sit and lay. So anyway, what I'm finding is that since the pandemic, people kind of lost their mojo. They've lost their motivation. Why do you think that is?
Well, you got to think about, we already, as a society, mental health-wise, we're pretty struggling. And then now you put some people, you're in your own four walls, you can't leave your house. That took any motivation and kind of momentum we had and just took it all away. The fitness industry changed as a whole. You saw online and on-demand fitness go to, billions of dollars were pumped into it. Well, now people are starting to a little bit get back into the gyms, but those who kind of got out of it, they're like, well, I don't want to get back now. And, once let's say you gain 50 pounds. I mean, that's a hard mountain to start to climb, but I just say climb it one day at a time. But when we were confined in those four walls and gyms were closed down, I mean, it really hurt the health and fitness industry. And then, people started to get sick and rely on medicines. And they're like, and like you said, you can reverse a lot of your health problems by just exercising and movement. I mean, I've seen it I've trained thousands of people throughout my career, and I've seen people get off blood pressure medicine, diabetes medication. There's so many benefits, but you have to have that motivation. So I think kind of I know that's kind of leading into one of your questions, is finding that why. Like, why is it important for you to be moving? Why is it important for you to be healthy? Because for me personally, I have two young kids. My daughter actually turned 6 today, so 6 and 3. And my thing was always, and like I said, I have a very good example set through my mom. I'm never going to be that parent that's like, oh, dad can't do that. Like, I want to be running and beating them in races when they're well into their teens, which is why I stay fit. It's like, if it's for me, I'm probably not going to actually, even as motivated as I am, I'm not going to do it. I have to find something external of why do I want to be healthy? And for me, it's my family. And I think people don't have that why. It's like, well, the doctors say we need to move to get off medication. Well, that's not going to really amp you up. But if you're starting, if you have grandkids or kids or whatever your motivation, pets, whatever it might be, if you have a why, now you'll start to put in some effort. And so I think finding that why for you, some people might be I'm tired of hurting all the time. Well, if you get out and even just, walk in the pool or something, you're going to start to feel so much better. And once you get that little taste of feeling better, now you have a why to get back in the gym. But COVID kind of ruined that why, because we're all at home. We don't have anywhere to be. All the events are canceled. We're not doing much. So that kind of really hurt us. But now we're out of that. So we got to re-find our focus and our why.
Yeah, I like that. The refocusing and finding your why. So tell us about your story, because you actually had something that could have knocked you completely out of wanting to be fit anymore.
Right. And so back in 2019, I'm from Iowa originally. So I was living in Iowa, and, they say most accidents occur a couple miles from home. So I was only about 1.5 miles from home. And I was driving on one of the busiest streets in Iowa, which would probably be equivalent to like Memorial would be the best like equivalent I can give you here. And a lady blew through a stop sign, hit me on my driver's side, popped me up over in the median into oncoming traffic in the busiest street in Des Moines. I was on 2 wheels, and it was just by, God's grace that no one was coming at that time. And so all my doors had caved in. I had to climb out the back, and I got out and I was a little banged up. And I remember, and I was getting ready to train. I was training for a marathon the next weekend, and then the next day I had went to go run, and the right side, like my right side was normal, but my left side was just like kind of dragging behind. Like I just felt like I couldn't. I'm like, I can't. I mean, I can feel it, but nothing's firing. So I went into a sports medicine clinic, and long story short, it turned out I had nerve damage in my piriformis and my TFL, which controls all your lower body movement on your left side. So normally an injury like that it requires a lot of physical therapy, but you don't come back normal. Nerves are one of those things that's like, you would be better off in a way breaking your hip and then having surgery and you come back to normal. Nerves are a different story because they don't necessarily come back. So I ended up only getting 80% back. I went through 4 years of physical therapy, retraining my brain to fire the nerves in the left side of my body. So relearn how to, just walk without a limp, run, jump, squat all over again, because I competed in pretty high level endurance sports. So I ended up coming back from that, and I was told I'd never run more than a mile ever again. And I just refused to. Like I said, I've been very blessed that I've always been encouraged by my family that, like, no matter what, if you're willing to put in the work, anything's possible. So 4 years of physical therapy, and I actually just, since I've seen you last, I recently just finished second in the world for the GoRuck High Rocks division. So what that is, it's 8 workouts. You run 1,000 meters between each workout with a 20-pound vest on for time. So right now I'm ranked second in the world. I get to go to DC in 4 weeks and compete in the world championships. So not only did I come back, I'm actually faster than when I got hurt, but I only gained 80% back. So basically I had to learn how to make my 80% better than my competitor's 100, and I just put in the work. And I still go to physical therapy once or twice a month to get touched up, and I still have pain in my hip and back. But again, my why driving behind was like, I'm not going to let this define my life. and depend on pain pills and be walking around with a limp, because who knows we know where that leads to. Like once you start requiring pain medicine, so I never took pain pills. I refused to take any pain medicine because I'm like, I know myself. I have an addictive personality like everyone. If I start to feel really good with these pills, I'm going to rely on them. So I'm like, no, I'm not even going to get started. I'll go through the pain, and through all that, I ended up, like I said, I'll be competing for the world championship here in 4 weeks. So not only did we come back and run more than a mile, I'm back to competing at a world-class level. So it's been a journey, but I also want to show my kids like, hey, if you are willing to put in the work, literally I'm a walking miracle. Like I shouldn't be here today. So like when I go in to train, kind of to your point earlier, people that don't like exercise, I'm like, for me, it's just a blessing. Like I have a kind of a already pre-scripted reason to go to the gym because I was never supposed to run again. So every day that I get a run, it's a huge blessing for me. So I took that negative mindset because I did have a pretty downfall. I mean, for 3 years, I couldn't work out, and I didn't take any rest days before that. So I had to take 3 years off, and it was real painful. So I dipped into some mental health issues and becoming depressed through that process because it's like I'd never been hurt in my life, but I refused to let that define me. And so I'm like, if I can use this to inspire others and just inspire one person, then it'll be worth it, which I've been able to tell my story to quite a few people by now. So it's been well worth all the pain and time spent.
That is awesome. Awesome story. Good motivation for people because like right now I know, after January, everybody's got the best intentions. Oh, yeah. And so do you have any kind of, like if, let's say somebody come in for training, any kind of steps or some strategies to maybe help people be able to get started? And I know I used to, when I first started with the state, I did health coaching. And so everybody came in and they wanted to lose 50 pounds in 6 weeks,
Right,
and those kind of things.
Right.
They want to do big or nothing. And it's like, what kind of strategy would you tell somebody to just get moving? If they're not moving, just how would they get moving?
So I'm a big believer in having short-term and long-term goals because like you said, a 50 pounds in 6 weeks is that actually possible? It is, but it's not sustainable and it's not healthy either. I mean, the average weight loss you should healthily lose is 2 pounds a week is at max. So I'm a big short-term goal person. So if I got someone that first came to me and never exercised, I would set their goal depending on how far, how deconditioned they were between. I'm like, for the first 30 days, I just want you to move between 5,000 and 10,000 steps a day. Whatever that looks like for you. If you're someone who can't walk a lot, we'll say like 30 minutes on a bike, some kind of 30 to 45 minutes of just movement. If you're able to walk, perfect. Let's just 5,000, 10,000 steps. We're going to start there and make that a 30-day goal. And then so they would hit that 30-day goal. I'm like, okay, we're going to keep that goal. But now our next goal is we're going to find whether if there's someone who doesn't like gyms, because I get they can be intimidating, we're going to find either an on-demand or an in-person group class. Something with group will motivate people better than solo. So our next is like, we're going to keep that one goal because we're going to keep you moving. But now we're just going to add in 2 days of group fitness. And so we just build off of that. And people come in with these, like you said, big goals. And I think I read somewhere, which is terrible, by within the first week or two of people's resolutions, they're gone. And they're gone because they set too big of a goal rather than just, all right, let's just start with 5,000 steps a day for 30 days. That's reasonable. I mean, especially for me, when I was coming back through my PT, I'm like, I want to compete at a world-class level again. That's my goal. But that wasn't what was driving me. I had weekly goals that I wanted to hit to get to that big goal. So it's good to have a big goal, but what's going to be that plan of action to get there? So I always start with just movement, like 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day, because just that alone, I read somewhere that if you walk 10,000 steps a day, you're ahead of 90% of the population. So if you can just start there, and then let's start and add in some group class. All right, so now maybe you found some buddies at the gym, or even if you're online, you're on demand. Now you've done 2 days a week for 30 days. All right, let's go to 3, and then 4. And then, like I said, it takes about 6 months to develop a habit. Once we can get you to that 6-month mark, now we can start setting long-term goals. But I don't let people set big goals out of the gate, because I know just based on if they don't get there, they have a couple bad weeks and their weight fluctuates, they're going to fall way off. So rather than setting these huge goals, let's start with some small ones Once we get those intact, then let's attack that big. If you have a 50-pound weight loss goal, perfect. Let's chalk that up, but let's have a week-by-week strategy on how we're going to get there. Right. And if you set that, like, I'm not a resolution setter. I think you should be doing it throughout the year, all year long. But if you have that big goal, because once you get to that 50-pound weight loss, it's way easier to maintain than it was to get there. And if you know that process, like let's say it takes you a year to get there, you always have a constant reminder of, okay, I remember how hard it was to work to get here. I'm not going back. So now you're just in maintenance mode. Now you can enjoy some more of those foods a little bit. You can enjoy some family time. You don't have to live and die by the gym, but it is going to take some sacrifice to get there. But once you're there, maintenance mode is much easier than getting there. But you see this up and down. It's like, do you remember how hard it was to lose 50 pounds? And you can put that back on in a month or two.
I know. And I know that also people get discouraged because when they have started, let's say they have even incorporated some strength training and stuff, well, they're not seeing it come off the pounds as far as on the scale, but their body composition is changing.
Right.
And so I always told people when they were trying to and started exercising to measure themselves, get a tape measure, you know, and look at the size. And I also say, and look at how you feel. You know, you just, if you're exercising and then you're not, how did you feel? You know, and we're trying to get people to be self-aware of their body and how they're feeling and those kind of things is so important. And I love your strategy of you got to start with the small first. Start with the small.
Rome wasn't built in a day. You got to start small and build up there. And I like what you said about body composition because it's you know, that media focuses so much on pounds lost, and I'm like, when I was a trainer, I didn't care about your weight. I cared about your body composition. Nowadays, they have in-body scanners and all sorts of stuff where you can just see that on paper. That way I could show them, hey, we didn't lose any weight, but you lost 3% body fat. That's way more important. So that overall, like you said, health and wellness picture of, okay, I don't care about the scale. And I actually wouldn't let my clients weigh themselves. I'm like, we're not, because otherwise you'd weigh yourself every day and you're going to fall off course because it's a mental game.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, I know that you are a wellness program manager, and it is now part of what HealthChoice offers its clients. And so can you kind of tell me about that program a little bit?
So actually just starting this year, all HealthChoice members now have incentive opportunities for a $25 gift card by the end of the year through health education videos, through movement challenges. We even have some non-movement challenges if you're not able to move. We have something called Revive and Relax, which is basically like an 8-week program to kind of help reset you mentally. There's different challenges along the way. But we also have movement challenges. So we'll have 4 movement challenges throughout the year that are all 10 weeks long. And what's cool about them is I've set them up to where each time you hit a milestone, I believe it's about every 25 miles of movement, you get to unlock a different place along the way in Oklahoma. So right now we're doing Walking in a Winter Wonderland, and it's got different ideas of activities to do in the winter throughout Oklahoma. We're going to do one coming up called Old MacDonald Had a Farm. It's all the farmers markets that are highlighted throughout Oklahoma. So just giving people, you know, especially in these days, finding creative ways to get people to move that you don't get to really reach out too much. So I try to just associate it with Oklahoma as a state so people can actually go to these places when they unlock them. So they'll have 4 movement challenges and they'll have 8 health education videos where we tackle everything from organic eating to gluten-free to gut health. And so they can learn in these short 8 to 10 minute videos, and there's some questions at the end. And then each time they complete one of those, they get points towards an incentive gift card at the end of the year that they can use on whatever they want.
That's awesome.
So it's a pretty cool program, and this is the first year they're offering incentives for their members, so it's awesome.
You're one exciting guy, I can tell you.
I mean, it's for me, I just found this, my aha moment was coming out of school. I actually went to school and got a marketing degree originally, and I was going to I'll be in the marketing world, I'll be in business, and I had a minor in accounting because I have a history of accountants, and so I got both of those, and then my mom she was a big runner. She's like, can you give me some ab exercises? And I'm like, yeah, I'll meet you at the gym. And she gave me $10 after like 10 minutes. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I can get paid to help people get in better shape. I have a lot of energy that God gave me. I'm gonna try this. So I went back to school and got a degree in health and wellness and kinesiology. And that's kind of what started, because I just saw, and all these clients and all these people, I'm like, I'm a true believer people don't want to wake up and be unhealthy. They just don't know where to start. Like you said, there's so much misinformation out there, and I see it. and it drives me nuts. I'm like, you're confusing all these people. Why don't we just start super small? So I just have a passion for, I love watching people achieve things that they never thought was possible. Right. So it's awesome.
And if they meet those small goals, achieve those small things, it does something in the brain to just kind of gets you rolling and you feel successful. And
I've actually had, when I was in Iowa, I did a 5-year program inside the women's prison for rehabilitation for health and wellness. And the same endorphins get released during drug use get released during exercise. So you get hooked on exercise. So that was part of our rehabilitation program that actually turned into their #1 rehabilitation program in prison's history in Iowa. And it was a cool thing. We put over 1,000 ladies in. I think over 20 of them went on to lose over 100 pounds while they were in. And it was just a cool thing to watch these ladies who didn't have a whole lot of encouragement throughout their life. And I watched them do things. And, when they would get out, they obviously couldn't send me direct emails, but they would send them back, and they didn't come back to prison. They had gotten their kids back. They joined gyms. And it's like, this is what it's all about. People just need a little push, a little encouragement, and then they can take off. Like you said, in the brain, it triggers that, wait, I can do this. And then that just becomes a spiral effect. So.
Well, I so appreciate you coming by and chatting with us. And like I said, I hope to get more people participating in your program and just being motivated, just hearing you talk. I mean, they've got to get motivated.
We got it.
Hearing you. So anyway, I appreciate you coming by. And you guys that are listening in, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to For the Health of It. For more wellness tips, information, and videos, visit the Thrive webpage. For questions, contact us at thrive@omes.ok.gov.